Hey, everyone. Welcome today to a live podcast, Human Design Reading with guest coach Marlita Hill. We're so excited to have her on today. So excited to get into another chart. She is a generator, as well as a business strategy coach. She has a podcast. She's been an author. She is an author and choreographer. She's had a beautiful career and she's stepping in and has stepped into helping you to nail your niche. So I'm so excited to have her on today and so excited to share her chart with you and share her strengths and her gifts. Now, of course, I want to hear what everybody is. So drop in the comments, what is your human design type? If you don't know your human design type, drop in roadmap and we'll get that to you so you can find out what your gifts are and what strengths you can lean into even more. And the beauty of that, I was just doing a human design reading before this, and just sharing with this individual her gifts and how she can use her gifts in her coaching practice. And it was so beautiful because as I look at charts, I always look, there's so much to a chart, right? The chart is a little overwhelming. So tell me if you felt the same way, right? But what we see on the chart is what I see on the chart stands out to me is this thread of messages that your soul wants you to hear. Your soul wants you to show up for you even more. And I get to point that out and facilitates that to you. And it's a beautiful thing. So, I do have one announcement before we bring on Marlita. But everybody, if you could drop in the comments, hi, hello, and tell us where you're coming from throughout the world as we have everybody coming in to rise to thrive throughout the world. At the end of this month, or sorry, not this month, because this month is almost over. At the end of August, we have a beautiful masterclass that's I'm going to be doing and hosting. And we're going to be celebrating a release of my podcast. So I'm very excited. Of course, I'm going to have giveaways. I'm going to have a beautiful masterclass to really help you train in and hone in on your gifts and how you can become. So let me introduce Marlita. Marlita, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
We're so grateful for you. So tell everybody, where are you tuning in from? Where are you coming from? Where do you live?
I am in Riverside, California.
Great. So West Coast. Excellent. Awesome. And we just like to get to know our guests before we jump into things. So what is your favorite book or show lately?
Oh, favorite show. I have two of them, and they're just my what is it called? Guilty pleasures.
Yes.
Frasier is my absolute favorite. I just watch the whole series, start over again, and just go. I always have Frasier running. And Merlin, actually.
Oh,
Yes.
my daughter watched Merlin, and when she was younger, and she was obsessed with it.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So those two, I always just run through the series and then go back to season 1, episode 1 every time.
Oh my goodness. There's sometimes like with series like that I'm like, I wish I could erase my brain from knowing it and I could see it first for the first time. Like, Girls, I've watched that like 5,000 times. I love Gilmore Girls. But I'm like, I wish I could just erase it from my brain, you know?
Yes.
Okay, so usually I always have a drink with me. What's your drink of choice?
It depends.
Yeah.
Either apple juice or lemonade.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. Oh, well, Marlita, so I introduced you at your, but I would love to hear in your own words, like, tell us about your business strategy coaching. You have a program called Niche Nailers, or that's your business. And tell us a little bit about that, and a little bit about your history, how you led up to that.
Yeah, so I am a choreographer and a multi-published author and educator. I've been an educator for over 20 years. In all of those endeavors, I realized there's something that is similar, that each of those things requires you to make a whole lot of decisions and a lot of choices, right? And in that, it requires you to be clear about what you're building so that that clarity can help guide you in all of these decisions and choices that you have to make. And so that's what my work is about, is helping creators answer the question, what business am I building? Or what book am I writing? What course, what kind of art life am I creating? Um, because I work with artists and edupreneurs, which is basically people who are building a business around their expertise. So I'm building a business around teaching something. So those are the two that I specifically work with. Um, and so helping empower them with the clarity of what it is that they're building so they can make good choices in actually building that work.
Mm, that is so beautiful. That's
Mhm.
beautiful. Well, and that just dives into at your human design type as a generator. And as a generator, you have a massive amount of energy. You're gifted with a massive amount of energy, and it shows in all that you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
Uh, and you're a master at your work. And so when we met and have talked over Messenger, and we met yesterday,
Yeah.
it was undeniably that you're a master at your work. You
Mm.
curate this work, which is exactly what a generator does.
Hmm.
And then also, generators, because when they're working in their passion, which is what you're doing, you have this magnetism that you draw other people towards you just inherently. They're just drawn towards you because your energy is so beautiful and what you put out to the world is so beautiful. It's like awe-inspiring. I when I always in my coaching practice, I tell my clients and my students, I'm
Mhm.
like, your energy speaks to you before you even open up your mouth, you know?
This is true.
And you probably know this from like profile pictures, you know, like choosing the right posts and things like that from your messaging, right? They all
Right.
make a difference and they all speak to something without us even opening up our mouth. So that intense energy, you can get a lot done and you can attract a lot of people, and you can also commit to a lot. So that overcommitment is huge, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, with your gifts of all this energy and your magnetization of drawing in your passion, creating this beautiful coaching practice, how did this gift of this energy help you create your coaching practice?
Yeah, so, I it's interesting that my gift is generator because I've just always been very generative. Ideas, I have ideas coming out of my ears. So, what has helped me is, 1, getting clear about what the direction of my work is, and that has helped me curb that tendency that you talked about to overbook. When I was younger, if there were any kind of, blank space in my calendar, I would fill it. I was packed. But then I had a mentor who asked me, "Do you wanna be busy or do you wanna be productive?"
Oh, that's
And I
beautiful.
was like, "Ugh." And that shifted a whole that and traveling shifted my perspective, and I remember coming back, from my first trip overseas, and I was like, "I want to shift the entire way that I work." So now my calendar is spacious and there's room. I'm very particular about what I say yes to, those kinds of things. But that clarity has helped me realize which of these ideas do I prioritize now, what's moving me forward, what are ones for later, what are ones that, if I can get to them, that would be great, but if not, it's not critical to my business. So it's actually helped me prioritize um, But yeah, ideas out the wazoo.
Yep, yep. Well, and from your chart, that makes complete sense. Exactly. And I think too, like, how did you feel when you were so overbooked? Like when your calendar was jam-packed, what was that feeling? Because a lot of generators have that same thing. They just,
Yes.
if there's an empty space, they're gonna fill it no matter
Mhm.
what it is. They feel like almost like it's better to do something than nothing, which
Right.
is, we need to shift that and decondition that with generators. But what did that feel like when you had were booked out?
For when I was at that time, it felt exciting because
Mhm,
they were all things that I was interested in, and I was interested in so many things
mhm.
and wanted to be a part of so many things, and so I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be here. Oh, I can do this all." Once I was asked that question and my mind shifted, it began to feel extremely overwhelming. I was like, "Oh, this is too much. This is too much. This is crazy. How did I do this?" And so even now, um, I think, "How in the world did I do that?"
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and did you have to, do you have to, like, make it a practice to, like, not fill up your whole schedule? Because it's kind of like, "Oh, I just wanna do so many things," like you said, you wanna do so many things, you have so many
Mhm.
passions.
Mhm.
Um, is it hard to kinda, like, stay in the space where you're really allowing space to happen?
It was at first.
Yeah.
It was at first. I had to get over the FOMO, the fear of missing out on things, and then a lot of it was just habit. I was just used to being busy. Um, Even if I really had no reason to be busy, it just busy felt natural,
Yeah.
right? So at first, it was quite an adjustment for me to make, but now, mm-mm, I'm quite good at saying no.
Oh, that is great. And this is, I mean, this is something I coach on all the time is generators and manifesting generators because those two types have
Mhm,
that innate energy. They want to go, 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 do, do, do all the time.
mhm,
They want to say
mhm.
yes, yes, yes all the time. But I'm like, if once you say yes to something, you also say no to something else.
Right,
And are you saying yes to you and your passions? That should be at the forefront. That's not, it's not being irresponsible. It's actually
right,
really tapping into who you are, which will
right.
generate even more success. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
And you know what was also helpful for me, and I realized this was most poignant for me as a choreographer, and then I realized this applied to all parts of my life. But I was not accounting for the time commitment that was not listed on my calendar, right? So I said yes to this particular thing on this particular date, but that didn't account for all of the hours I would need to prepare for that or rehearse for that or do you know what I mean? Plan for that or that kind of thing. All the hidden hours that you don't account for.
Mhm.
So realizing that also helped me be more strategic about my scheduling.
Oh, that's beautiful. Those hidden
Mhm,
hours. Yeah, those are real things that we don't account for so often when we're scheduling ourselves.
mhm,
Yeah. So as
mm,
you're making these decisions, another part of your chart that stood out to me um, is your emotional inner authority. Now, inner authority is how we make decisions, and it's the best way that we make decisions. Now, human design teaches us like truth based upon us. So it's
mm,
your truth, not someone else's like, hey, why don't you try this, type of thing. It's how you best operate. And
right.
just like a car going down the freeway, I know in California, there's lots of traffic. We have tons of traffic in Dallas too. So,
Yes,
and, and when there's lots of traffic, it's hard to get somewhere, right? And you kind of feel stuck and it takes forever to get there. But when there's no traffic, the freeways opened up, you could get from here to there very quickly.
Very quickly, yeah.
Yeah. So so inner authority is the same way. It's our GPS, it's our guide, it's our inner counsel, and it can help us to make the correct decisions and
Mhm.
give us a guide post to how to make correct decisions. So yours is emotional, and you're an
Mhm.
emotional inner authority, and means that you have this kind of constant wave of emotions, right? So highs and lows, right?
Mm.
So, kind of just like the ocean has high tide, it has low tide, it has stillness. You want to make sure that you're making a decision when you have stillness, when you have
Mhm.
calm, when you're not too high, when you're not too low. And so, with emotional inner authorities, you want to always wait, just not make a decision right away.
Mhm.
So, just step back and give yourself like 24 hours, 4 hours, 7 days, whatever, almost
Yeah.
assign a time, just because in the high or the low moment, you're going to be like, yes, let's do this, or I don't want to do this at all, type of thing. And that phrase, sleep on it, is a really good
Mhm.
phrase for you to use, or the
Mhm.
phrase, hey, I'm not quite settled. Can I have more time? And you can say that to yourself, or you could say that to others, because so oftentimes this world is like, hey, make decisions quickly. If you can't make decisions quickly, you're not with it or whatever, but that's not truth for you. Your
Right.
truth is you need time to settle into the stillness of that decision. And two, with your decisions, it's never going to be 100% yes, let's do it. There's always going to be this kind of like, I'm not quite sure, or maybe I should do this, type of thing. Your mind is going to get away overthinking things. And so you're looking for an 80% yes. An 80% like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I mean, this other thing would be cool. Maybe I should go this direction. But no, I think this overall feels pretty good, type of thing. So that will help you to not overthink things, or to just kind of feel into it. So how making decisions as a coach and as a business owner and in your career, how have you been able to wait to make those decisions? Um, and maybe the decision turned out good because you kind of waited and you felt aligned with that decision, or maybe you jumped into a decision too fast and it didn't turn out quite as yeah.
We've all had those.
Yes, again. Yeah, can you tell us anything about that? Any of those experiences that come to mind?
Yes, definitely when I was in my 30s, I was a lot more impetuous.
Mm.
Um, but one of the things my dad taught me when I was young, he would say, "If you need an answer right now, the answer is no."
Good mom.
It's no. If you just have to have it right now, the answer is no. Um, and so that helped me a lot to pause. And then also, I'm a Christian, so having that spiritual leading
Yeah.
from the Lord for me has helped me, and that has always been my compass for the decisions that I make, because I
Yes.
didn't know every detail of my direction, but I knew what my direction was. And so that helped me when it was time to make decisions. Is this decision relevant to the direction I know I'm supposed to be going? If it's not, then it's probably no. Those are the things I wait on. Um, so yeah, that's what's helped me make those decisions. And yes, waiting. But I don't most of the time I don't feel the need anymore to rush into a decision. I find that I do take a minute. I'll do a lot of research. I'm more impatient in knowing the options than I am in making a decision. Do you know what I mean? So
Yes,
I wanna know, and then I wanna sit and marinate once I know the options.
yes, yes, totally. Totally find all those out and let it settle with you, right? That kind of
Yes,
settling feeling.
yes.
Yes, that's
And
magic.
I do recognize, and sometimes it takes me a little longer than others, but I can recognize now when I'm moving out of anxiety,
Ooh,
right? Because sometimes we don't recognize the decision is like the Snickers commercial, and you're like, "You need a Snickers." I know when I'm having a Snickers moment. Sometimes it takes me a little while to recognize it, but I'm
yes.
like, "Oh, okay. You are freaking out. Let's wait a minute till you calm down. Then we could look at this again."
Yes.
Yes, and
Well,
see it for what it really is instead of what I'm afraid it is.
yes. Well, and so, okay, I love that you brought that up because part of your chart that I pulled is one of your defined centers. Now, on your
Mm,
chart, everybody has defined centers and it makes up who they are. Each defined center is a gift that you have and that you can utilize, and that's
mm,
always with you. Undefined centers are the white ones, defined centers are the colored in ones, and it's on that body graph. So when we're looking at that person, there's all those different points on that
yeah.
person. Um, it's kind of like chakras. So same
Mhm.
thing. So these are gifts that we have. And one of your defined centers that stood out to me is your spleen. And your spleen is survival instinct and intuition.
Interesting.
And yeah, so your defined spleen is highly intuitive. You're highly intuitive. You're always on your toes. You're have this heightened sense of what's going on around you, how
Mhm,
connected and interlaced. Also, that spirituality coming into that mix. You
mhm.
can feel things and it really resonates with you.
Yeah.
Um, and with this defined spleen, we want to watch out for being too anxious, right? Because that anxiety can come on really easily and
Yeah.
we can jump from fear to fear to fear to fear. So, in your business, and your career too, how have you allowed that fear to not dictate what you do next, but really following with your intuition instead of that fear?
Mhm. I do it anyway.
That's great.
That's all I know to say is I do it anyway, knees knocking. Now there are times that, you know, courage seems a little further away to get to,
Yeah.
but when it comes down to it, the time it takes for me to get the courage to actually do it, varies from time to time and in what I'm doing, but overall, I just do it anyway, because I'm always not afraid, but, like, I'm always pushing myself into new territory, into things I'm not familiar with. You know,
Yes.
I'm very comfortable with risk, even though when I get to the door, I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, shoot, should I really do this?" But then I go, "Yeah, girl, let's go. Do it anyway. Okay, hold your breath. Just jump in, butt naked, no parachute. Just go."
Off that rock. It's better on the other side. The experience is worth it.
It always has been. It
Yes.
always has been. I cannot say one time where it didn't turn out, or should I say it turned out bad. Now, wisdom has taught me I could have prepared myself in certain ways better before I just jumped, but, the jumping has always led to amazing things.
Oh, that's so beautiful. So how do you help your clients with that too? Because you work with entrepreneurs and they're coming
Mhm.
on to this and it's kind of scary switching, careers and focuses and pivoting
Yeah.
and doing those things. And there's a lot of fears behind that trap people. Um, and because you have this gift of sensing all that, you can see that. But you've been through it. How do you
Mhm.
guide them through that process as well?
Yeah, so for me, a lot of a lot of my fear, well, let me say it like this. I believe that confidence is just as much a currency as
Mm,
anything else. It needs to be protected and well stewarded, just like your time, just like your money, right? So a lot of that anxiety, I mean, there's the initial anxiety, right? Of, I don't know what's on the other side of this. This is new. Okay, that's one kind of thing.
mm,
But there's also anxiety that comes from failing and falling, right?
right.
Spent confidence, right?
Yes.
Um, Low confidence that's come from having a couple bumps and bruises. And so what I try to do with my clients is help them, let's eliminate you wasting your confidence by getting clear first about what it is that you're even trying to build. Because
Yeah.
faith doesn't have to be blind. You can prepare yourself. You can't totally prepare yourself, and I don't think you can prepare yourself to the point where you feel nothing, right? It's like you're always going to feel some like whew, whew, but you
Right.
can prepare yourself. So for me, that's what that clarity piece is about,
Mm,
right? Is okay, let's get you clear about what it is that you're building so that you can make intelligent decisions.
yes.
So, and
That
that helps eliminate a lot of that.
that's beautiful. That clarity prepares for the next step.
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
and channeling that and working together and having that
Yes.
yeah. So all on your chart, what also
Mm.
stood out to me, what also spoke to me, it spoke to my soul, was your channel. And your this is your channel 26 to 44. Now, channel is another layer of your gifts. It's another way we can lean into your gifts. It gives kind of flavor to our personality. And a channel is between two defined centers. It's that line that goes across and it's always colored in, okay, when it's defined.
Okay.
So on yours, you have the heart to the spleen. Now you have the heart, which not a lot of people have the heart defined. And
Really?
so let me just hit on this real quick. Your heart definition is is this willpower and this ability to manifest. You tune into your heart and you can make it happen. This is one of the areas where you can make it happen. And really look when you're looking at the heart, really look at what's pulling you towards your passion, right?
Mhm.
Follow your heart is your motto. That is totally your motto. And it's a generator motto too, really. But not all generators have the heart defined. It's very rare to have the heart defined. So um, you have this desire to achieve, to be motivated. You're not going to let things stand in your way. So, really,
Mm.
like, looking at all those things in your chart that we've already talked about, this is backing you up. So, this channel that connects the heart to the spleen. So remember, spleen is instinct
Yes.
um, and intuition. And this channel is the channel of enterprise, which is business. We know enterprise is business. And again, there's so much to a person's chart. Like I can't memorize all these little things. My brain cannot handle the capacity of that. Um, so I just pull what feels right.
Mhm.
I can
Mhm.
feel needs to be said. And this is the message and I was like, oh my gosh, Marlita, amazing. So um, you're a good businesswoman. You have innate sales communication abilities. You believe that you can bring the world to a greater place and really make a difference.
Mm.
Let this instinct guide you, lean into it even more, and facilitate improvements through that instinct and through that willpower even more into your business because you can do it. So
Yeah.
and we had talked you do individual coaching already. You're going to be launching group coaching so
Mhm.
people nail their niche, which is fantastic. And whenever we step into a new area, there are things that we're not quite sure of,
You're about right. Mhm. Mhm.
but know that you have this divine gift to create this business that is going to change other people's lives because you're following your heart, you're following this intuition,
Mhm.
and it's not going to lead you astray. It's not going to lead you down the wrong path. So, and how? So tell me, like, how do you believe that as entrepreneurs nail their niche? You know, what can they do from there? You know, like what does it do to their business to really nail their niche in within their business?
It empowers you to be the architect of this life that you want to build, of this business that you want to build. Anything that we need to do to manifest and bring this business idea to an actual reality, it requires you to either make a decision or make a choice. Is your business going to be brick and mortar, or online? What colors are you going to use? What are you going to name your business? Are you going to do products or services? Right? All of these decisions, these small decisions that you have to make. Um, and you have to have something to guide those decisions, right? Or else you're going to end up, one, making decisions that are creating something you didn't intend to create, or you're going to be unable to fulfill some of those responsibilities or unable to make some of those decisions. And then when we're thinking about even working with other business services, right? Let's say I want to work with a graphic designer to get a logo done. Well, the first thing the graphics designer is going to ask is, what is it that you want me to represent in this logo?
Yes.
If I don't know my work, I have to give that to them. And this was something that I learned. And I say, these business services are transactions of translation,
Oh,
meaning what I do, let's say I want to get a logo done. When I go to a graphic designer, I have to give the information about my business to the graphic designer, and they use their expertise, which is graphic design, to translate that information about my business into a visual asset that represents my business. They only translate that information. They can't create that for you. You
right.
able to come and relay that and communicate about your work to them. And that's the same with a web designer, with a copywriter, branding, marketing, all of that. You have to be the one to be able to explain to these people what it is that you want represented, what you want communicated, right? How you want things structured. And then they will use their expertise to help produce that for you. So if you don't have the understanding, if you haven't answered
Yeah.
clearly what it is you're even trying to build, well, then how can you direct these people? How
Right.
can you communicate to another person who's interested in your work? How can you make the decisions, right? If I want to build a house, I better know what tools I need. But first, I got to know what kind of house I want to build. I have to know
Right.
what materials I want in there. So that
Architectural plan, you know, instead of just like, oh, I think we'll throw some foundation over here, you
and
know,
then
here's the wall. You know, what kind of weirdo house is that going to be?
right, because depending on what you're trying to build,
Yeah.
that's going to inform the tools you need, the materials you need, how many of those materials you need, etc. I even say down to advice, right? Or the kind of coaches that we go to. Because I say, listen, even me, each of us as a coach, we have experienced something and we've recognized a system. We've tried it with other people. It has worked, and we're coming to relay our system to you. Right. But you have to be the one for your business to determine if what I have to offer is right for what you're trying to build. Because I know I'm not for everybody. You know, you're not for everybody. So if I'm a coach who builds amusement parks and you're trying to build a greenhouse, it doesn't mean I'm not good at what I do. It just means I'm not for you. You need to go find somebody who's building greenhouses.
Right.
It's a whole different advice system, right? So you have to be informed about what you're trying to build so that you can make those decisions and you can determine what's right for you and what's not right for you.
Right. Yes, exactly. And and I love that from your chart, we're seeing what a great gift that you have for coaching, for mentoring, for bringing people through processes to better their business and to develop it into what they really dreamed and what's inside of their heart. You're pulling what's inside of their heart from your heart to the outside world and making it happen, all through the gifts that are on your chart. And that's what I also love about human design too, is like, instead of saying, you know, like to our brains, we're like, oh, you know, I have this gift, but then we kind of doubt things. A chart really maps it out. It's like, yeah, you have this, you know, this is given to you at birth. So utilize it. And just like any principle of abundance or spirituality, the more we utilize that gift, the more it's going to take force in our life, the more it's going to empower us to help other people. Because really, that's what we're here to do, right? Is we're here to help others the other way, to lead the way, and to empower them through our experience and through our gifts. So, Marlita, this has been so wonderful. Thank you for sharing your chart with us today. Thank you for sharing your messages. There's been so many great nuggets on here. But I feel like too, like you're following your intuition, you're leading into your passion, and keep doing that as you're stepping into and expanding your programs, and it will back you up. You have the ability. There is no doubt. So I'm just grateful to share those wisdoms with you.
Thank you. It's been great.
So everybody in our audience would love to connect with you. So where can we find you? Where can we find your programs? What's the best way to connect with you?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram, at Facebook, at The Niche Nailer. So NicheNailer. And then you can find me on my website at nailthatniche.com.
Awesome. And you take one-to-one clients, right? Okay. Excellent. Yes. That is so wonderful. So excited. Thank you again, Marlita, for being on. We really appreciate
you, Courtney.
And we'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye. Oh, you guys, wasn't that amazing? How beautiful is Marlita's themes of just utilizing her intuition, really following that, taking time to make a decision. You know, as a generator, she's not jumping into things and saying yes to all the things. And it has made her business and her life so much better. It has allowed her to create space to be creative, to allow abundance to come into her life, and to take her business to the next level and in new directions that she didn't thought was possible until she allowed the space to be open to it. So really excited that we had her on. Make sure if you're on the replay that you say #replay and follow along, and we will see you next time. Let's rise to thrive.